On May 22nd, the drenched Rishi Sunak called a general election for some reason. 6 weeks of gaffes, debates, political stunts, milkshake throwing and much more led to polling day on July 4th. Across the country, churches, pubs, village halls and whatever the hell this is were all converted into polling stations. Labour were largely expected to win a landslide and high-profile Conservatives were going to be heading towards the job centre. When polls close at 10 PM, boxes of ballot papers are ready to be collected and counted at leisure centres. Instead of football or badminton, these centres will count ballot papers to determine who's going to be elected as an MP. As a local journalist, I head to a wet and dark leisure centre to cover the South Dorset and West Dorset election counts. You now join me half awake in my car at 2 AM before a night of drama, history and electoral roughhousing. Bleary-eyed, I'm here in a car park at a leisure centre at 2 o'clock in the morning. Now, I'm not lost, I'm not looking for a mate, no, I'm here for an election count. Elections up and down the country take place in leisure centres like this because they're massive and they can basically get all the ballot papers, all the boxes together and they can just put in one pile and they've got enough volunteers to spread out a massive sports hall. It's a bit like political Christmas, so you go to bed, and next day you're not going to get an Xbox, you might get a new MP and maybe a new government as well. Some places you're probably going to get both. But we'll see what happens today. I'm here to cover the South Dorset and West Dorset election counts. These are 2 Tory seats that are risk of flipping colour. At least one of them is. One historically for the first time ever. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going in there to file the results for my news organisation, filing copying, getting some colour and interviews and stuff, but I also will be filing the results to ITN as well over the phone as well because I've been paid freelance to do it as well. So I'm basically working for 2 news organisations today. This is also my first election count. I've seen so many on TV, so I know roughly what to expect, but I've never been actually to one. Obviously we projected a Labour landslide and massive Tory losses. I'll hopefully be able to talk more about these seats when I go in, but first things first, get in there, go for security, get set up, and then I can show you inside and see what it's like. Also, I'm not sure if this lighting's really helping me. And there we are, this is the West Dorset count. Loads of tables here, I'm basically just sort of counting the votes. I can only really film from afar because obviously I can't literally get in the faces of people and see where the X is on every single ballot paper. And you've got some high references there, you've got Lib Dems wandering around with their clipboards trying to get sussing out if they've won anything. 1 or 2 Tories as well, they're looking around as well. Mixture of faces, mixture of reactions. Right, so this is the count for South Dorset then. Same sort of picture really. Now, shortly after filming this, a security guard came up to me and asked me to stop filming. I said I was media, but then he noticed my lanyard said guest. Really helpful. I then showed my press card and thankfully a returning officer came over and just checked over my details and he said it was absolutely fine for me to film. The security guard was absolutely fine about it as well, just a clear misunderstanding. But yeah, it just shows that when you get to these accounts, the media can film, they can show from afar. You might have seen the Sky and BBC may have done this sort of thing as well, but we obviously can't get into the faces of these counters, look at the ballot papers, imply a result before the result is announced.
To politics as public service. The change begins right here because this is your democracy, your community and your future. You have voted. It is now time for us to deliver. Thank you very much.
Keir Starmer there at his own count. His majority.
So it's looking quite interesting. Basically, it looks like Lib Dems are going to get West Dorset, and then South Dorset it's basically a three-way fight. And depending on who you chat to, they might win. So the Tories think they win. Labour maybe, and then Lib Dems confident as well. I'm also just seeing some candidates as well wandering around the media a bit as well. So these are basically all the candidates here. When I know roughly who's going to win each seat, so say for example West Dorset, you've got to call ITN and basically say Lib Dem gain or Conservative hold, and I phone them up, confirm all the details, and then and then hopefully then we'll get the vote results. So I'll be able to write them down all on this helpful piece of paper they've given me, well, printed off, and then hopefully then file it all to them with the phone, and that's sorted. And it'll be the same for South Dorset as well. So I've got 2 counts I'm doing here today. These 2 seats are quite rural as well, so we'll focus on both of them individually. But West Dorset, if we go there first, that's a big area that covers areas like Sherborne, Bridport, Dorchester, Lyme Regis, Charmouth, a load of villages as well. It's an absolutely massive, rural community, and it's historically always voted Conservative. Tonight it could change, and it looks like it will. Since the 19th century, it's always been Conservative, and there's only been, looking at Wikipedia very quickly, there's only been 7 MPs representing the area. Any time it's ever not been Tory is when Sir Oliver Letwin, who rebelled against the Brexit vote by the government in 2019, he lost the party whip and he went from Tory to Independent for a few months, but it didn't really matter anyway because he said he would step down anyway. And he was then replaced by Chris Loder in the 2019 general election, if you remember that 5 years ago. Now, Chris Loder is obviously one of the famous wave of 2019 Conservative MPs who have been ushered in, and they've been trying to put their mark in politics, and they were a key reason why Labour got trounced and why Conservatives did as well as they did, basically. So the closest challenger is the Liberal Democrats, is Edward Morello. Now, he was raised here, born and raised in Dorset, did compete for the 2019 general election for this seat, but he lost. He came second, so he's got quite a sizable majority. So Edward Morello is trying to overturn this general election. The polling suggests, into the election, suggests he was going to do that, and it'll be interesting to see what happens, really. Quite predominantly rural, it's got some big towns, it's predominantly quite conservative, older voters, white as well, so it's natural it's always been conservative. It's going to be quite interesting reaction if the seat does turn Lib Dem, but we'll see what the fallout is. South Dorset is where it's a bit more interesting. So South Dorset is again another sort of a Tory safe seat. It's been predominantly Tory throughout its conception in the 19th century. So the current MP, well, before this election was Richard Drax. Richard Drax won the election in 2010 when he beat the incumbent Lord Jim Knight of Labour, and since then he's been comfortably winning elections. He's got quite a sizable majority. I'll pop it on the screen now, hopefully, if I get this editing right. Labour's candidate, Lloyd Hatton, he is a local boy, born and raised in Dorset, and then went off to university, and then he became a councillor in Camden, where he's been there for some time, but he's coming back and basically hopefully get into the House of Commons, who knows. Then there's a strong challenge as well from Lib Dem Matt Bell. Matt Bell is a local councillor here as well, town council, quite locally well known as well. And then the rest of the candidates have really, obviously, we've got a Green candidate, Catherine Bennett, we've got a Reform UK candidate, Morgan Young, who is got exposed to being one of those paper candidates where they've only been to Dorset once a night, and it'll be interesting to see if they appear tonight. But it would be interesting also to see how many votes they get and if they actually take votes away from the Conservatives. And then the rest of the candidates are all independents. So you've got Giovanna Lewis, who used to be Labour, and then also a councillor on Portland. Then you've got Joy Wolfson, she's also a local person, an independent, and you've got Rosie Morale of the Everyone Is God party. She's also standing. She's basically told me as well, we had a quick chit chat, she thinks she's going to finish last. At least she's, being realistic, I guess. Yeah, that's Richard Drax. He's also one of the richest MPs in Parliament. It's 3:45 at the moment. I tripped over my words because I've only had like 2 hours sleep, and thankfully I got some coffee. It's been really good. But hopefully, in the next 45 minutes, we're going to get some action. Dorset Council are literally sat over there, the press team, and basically said one's going to be at 4:30, the other's going to be at 5:30. But I feel that South Dorset's going to be one that's going to be more tricky, especially if it's marginal. And if so, then we could be here for recounts. So yeah, so this is where the media bit is. I'll show you now. As you can tell, we've got ITV News there, BBC there with his rig, and we've got Dorset Echo and some radio, Great Hits radio. Great bit about election night as well, so all the snacks you get. So this is my contribution, fantastic, and popcorn, don't care what people say, it's actually quite nice. And then Echo team have brought some Haribos, of course, some lovely caramel shortbreads, Kit Kat chunkies. Jamie, what have you brought?
You know, I've got a couple of Starbursts here, and then I've popped to Aldi as a last minute resort and grabbed some steak and ale crisps.
I take that's before you went to bed, yeah? And
yeah, exactly.
Aldi's not 24/7.
No, yeah, just no one was up at the time I went.
And then there's a communal box of Maltesers there.
Help yourselves.
Oh, nice, cheers, man. What about the banana? Is that communal as well? Can anyone have that? The banana. Can anyone have that as well? No.
Me.
That's you, right? Okay, fair enough, mate. Looks like some tables are sorted, which is good. And then we've got other pallets being counted as well. And that's also Lloyd Hassan there, who is a Labour candidate here. So I guess all the candidates are slowly trickling in as well for what could be a very interesting election count and result. Meanwhile, across the country, government ministers and high-profile Tories lost their seats. Jacob Rees-Mogg, Alex Chalk, Penny Mordaunt, Lucy Fraser, Johnny Mercer all lost their seats. Even former Prime Minister Liz Truss lost her seat. Well, I think she understood what was going on.
Shafts Grant, the Conservative Party candidate, 16,000.
So there you go, Grant Shapps just lost his seat. Oh dear. So Drax is now talking to the Everyone is God party, who are standing in West Dorset and South Dorset. And there's Lloyd Hassan there. He's looking a bit nervous, smiley, but you know, just chatting to people, being social, which is good. I mean, to be fair, if I was standing for Parliament, I'll be right now feeling a bit nervous.
Bell Matt, Liberal Democrats, 8,017. Bennett Catherine, the Green Party, 2,153. Drax Richard, the Conservative Party candidate, 14,611. Hatton Lloyd, Labour Party, 15,000. $15,659. Lewis Giovanna Elizabeth, 185. Morel Rosie Frisbee, 52. Wilson Joy Heather, Independent, 192. Young Morgan Tara, Reform UK, 8,168. The number of votes rejected was 171. And I declare that Lloyd Hatton is duly elected as Member of Parliament for South Dorset.
me. So that's just happened. Dorset South flipped to Labour. What the hell? Now I've got a frantically typed up story about it. And so Lloyd Hatton won by just over 1,000 votes. So it was that close, and it looks like the Lib Dem vote wasn't as big as we thought it was. Politics.
Because I love it in here. I fucking love it!
Still counting for West Dorset, as you can see there. Lloyd is there, just having an interview. I'm going to interview him very shortly. So the Reform candidate was only a paper candidate, came third with 8,000 odd votes, beaten Lib Dems to fourth. There were multiple boos when Reform won. That attracted many seats, and obviously the result was announced. So obviously I said Lib Dems in fourth, Green came fifth, and the Independents all followed as well. A very surprising result. I'm actually really surprised that's happened. I thought at least one of these seats would flip, but for it to happen to Labour is absolutely extraordinary. So this is massive. And Drax, as you will see in the footage, was quite dignified in defeat. Lloyd's excited he's going to be one of the youngest MPs. He's also a Camden councillor as well. So it'll be interesting what will happen there if he had to resign, or he's going to still do both. So yeah, amazing. The media scrum is just dissipating. We're trying to get reaction. I understand Rich Drax doesn't want to talk. Understandable. He just lost his job, and you don't really want to chat to the media. But Lloyd is obviously ecstatic. You've won tonight. Oh, what's your reaction?
It's a fantastic result, both here in South Dorset and across the country. I think the public are crying out for change. They were fed up with the division and the chaos of this Conservative government, and they looked to Keir's Change Labour Party to offer an alternative. And I think that's what happened here tonight, and right across the country as well.
Definitely, and quite a slim majority you won there. But you overturned that majority of how many thousand? It was quite.
It was about 17,000 majority that we've overturned here tonight. We know the result in South Dorset is always close when Labour win. We were fortunate enough to have the brilliant Jim Knight as our Labour MP when I was growing up here, and he always won by the narrowest of margins. But we've done it again tonight. We pulled off a win. And I think that's because people here were looking for something different. They were looking for a local voice to represent them in Westminster, and they were looking for a change with a Labour government.
Definitely. And did you think, were you nervous at all? I mean, it looked like a three-way fight at one point, but...
There's always a few nerves, but I think it did come down to a clear two-horse race between Labour and the Conservatives, as it so often does. But that's not what this election is about. This election is about listening to the priorities of people in South Dorset and making sure that I take those priorities and those concerns to Westminster and be their voice in Parliament. That's what this election is about. It's not about the runners and the writers.
Definitely. And in terms of the local issues at play here, what issues are you going to really campaign for and really bring up from South Dorset horses to Westminster?
So I think there are three really big issues that I want to get on with, working on straight away. The first is getting the National Health Service back on its feet. Time and again, people tell me they find it absolutely impossible to find an NHS dentist or to get a GP appointment. And our waiting lists are also too long. So we need to get the NHS working again. Second of all, I want to work with government, with councils, with local business to get our town centres and our high streets revitalised. They've really struggled since the pandemic, so I think there's so much we need to do to support local businesses and our high streets. Finally, I want to stand up for our cherished local environment. I'm so lucky that my constituency is at the heart of the Jurassic Coast, which is a world-renowned heritage site, but it is at risk, whether that be from the sewage spill scandal or other environmental catastrophes. So I want to make sure I stand up for our brilliant local environment.
Definitely. And just one last question. Obviously, national pitch has been astounding, really. No, I don't think we've this lifetime have seen anything like it. A lot of big profile Tories have lost their seats. Why do you think these big Tories have lost their seats, and why are they voting Labour?
I think you're right, this is a historic moment for the Labour Party. I think Keir put the Labour Party firmly back in the service of working people, and people responded positively to that. They were looking for a change, and they were fed up with the chaos and the division of the Tories. I think that's why we've had a historic result. Now it's up to us as a Labour government to crack on with delivering our first steps. I know that's what constituents here in South Dorset are interested in, a government that delivers. They don't want more chaos, they want us to get on with the job.
Definitely. Well done. Well, congratulations again, Lloyd. Take care and enjoy your sleep.
Thanks.
Sleep well. Right. It's 5 a.m. File the results for South Dorset. Just spoke to Lloyd, as you've just seen. I look really pale and awful, don't I? I'm going to have to put some filters on this. We're now waiting for the votes to be finished and finalised. What's happening in front of me is that they're just double checking them all, and we're just waiting for the result for West Dorset, which is 5:30. A lot of happy faces in Labour camp. I think they were half expecting it, but basically Lloyd Hatton's overturned that result at Team Mega to basically a swing of 18,000, I think it is. But yeah, we'll see what happens. He seems quite positive as well. He's going to be one of the youngest MPs in Dorset, not just in Dorset, but also in on the national level as well.
Government, whatever the size of its majority, as the Conservatives have learned, can't be certain.
This is a state of the coffee at 5 AM. It looks a bit like a bomb's hit. And there we go, just have a look in here. All the seats have gone. Let's have a look. There we are, microphones all set up. A lonely tripod is there. And then we await the second election count of the night. Hey, still waiting. Oh, there's a crowd gathering now. If you're wondering why it's taken so long, half 5 AM, to why we have not got results yet for West Dorset, is because more rural patches take longer to count, because you've got to imagine you've got little hamlets in the north of the constituency, you've got to go all the way to the south constituency, whereas it's different to, like, say, Manchester, because it's obviously all interlocks, good roads and transport infrastructure, so they can just throw everyone into that leisure centre. So that's why it's taking so long. It's also, I guess it's not really a massive priority. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, these seats. We're just waiting for the votes just to be checked over, and then what's going to happen now? The candidates basically will be told, right, this is what we've got for the figures. Are you happy with it? If you're happy with it, okay, cool, and then move on. And the actual results will be declared. I'll say this as well. Obviously, this is West Dorset and South Dorset. The count's been held in Weymouth. I'm not sure why it's still Weymouth. It should be Dorchester. Isn't that more central to the constituencies? A35, A37, bang in the middle. As far as Dorset Council, I'll be holding it in a massive leisure centre in Dorchester. That'll speed up this whole democratic process. So, just in for the crowd now. Crowd's gathering, and we're just waiting for votes to be verified, and well, more than that. Chris Loder's there, who's the MP.
Not recently, no, but I'll be...
Deep in conversation. And the media pen's just here waiting for the results. So I'll be hopefully next 10 minutes with all my sheet ready. Chris Loder is looking at the votes. Well, he's overseeing them. Is he going to protest, I wonder? If he does, we're going to be here until 7 AM. I don't think volunteers want to continue and counting. Please, for the love of God, do not do a recount, because that will be another hour or so. Chris Loder's getting a bit animated. This is longer than thought. Is it a recount?
No, but it's... As if he's going to lose 75,000 votes from somewhere.
Well.
At least.
Not a recount.
So we're just still waiting. Conservatives there, Lib Dems are there. Spelvin Clayton, the Green Party MP, the candidate's there. Still looking. Chris Loder's looking on, very concerned, shaking his head. He's obviously very keen to retain his seat, of course, Chris Loder, and he's looking very, well, frustrated, I would say, is one thing I'd say. But it's Yeah, we should have had the can at 5:30, but all these people here, dozens of people who've come to count, are still here waiting, all looking on. They're praying they don't have to do a recount. I think a lot of people have been here since 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on Thursday evening. Lib Dem seem like they seem confident, they want it. So it's been dragged on a little bit, but it's basically Chris Oda has complained about how the papers have been stacked and how they present. Very weird. Anyway, candidates are all there. He's basically saying it's not just being the result, but it's just how they're stacked and how they're presented, which is my understanding is political housery. There you go.
The number of votes recorded for each candidate at this election is as follows. Chisholm, Oliver Marshall, 733. Clayton Kelvin, the Green Party, 2,288. Loader Chris, the Conservative Party candidate, 19,210. Lumsden Donna, the Labour Party, 3,086. Morello Edward, Liberal Democrats, 26,000. 26,999. White, Marcus Daniel Terrence, 289. The number of votes rejected was 618, and I declare that Edward Morello is duly elected.
First time ever in this constituency. Massive. The history maker, what do you feel?
Tired, excited. I don't think we've probably processed this completely yet. Yeah. As you say, 139 years of Conservative MPs in West Dorset. So this is a monumental result. It is, voters of West Dorset deciding to put their faith in another party, and I'm extremely grateful for that. And we're going to go and do a really good job for them in Westminster.
Definitely. And why do you think are the key reasons why locally people voted for you guys, not the Conservatives? It's very unusual. Not a lot of people are expecting this.
Well, I think it's reflective of the campaign that we have run nationally and locally that Ed Davey has spearheaded. It's a message of positivity. It's a message of helping those who need it most, the carers, looking after rural Great Britain, helping our farmers. We've gone out there with positivity and optimism, and I think people have bought into that. After 14 years, they're ready for change.
Yeah. Definitely. And what are you going to be doing locally to support people in West Dorset?
Well, look, the campaign priorities are exactly going to be the same priorities in Westminster. It is tackling the sewage that's in our rivers and beaches and cleaning them up. We are, it's not just coastal West Dorset, it's deep inland that we're seeing massive amounts of pollution, 45,000 hours last year. So we need action on that. We need to restore our NHS and make sure that people can access GPs and get access to NHS dentists critically. We're going to be going up to Westminster with the aim of tackling the cost of living crisis and bringing down household bills and securing a better deal for our farmers and food producers. So there's a lot on the plate. There's a lot to do after 14 years, but we're optimistic that we can do some real difference.
Brilliant. And one word, how are you going to be celebrating today?
With a nap.
And a nice restaurant meal?
I don't know. It was our anniversary yesterday.
Oh,
we spent our anniversary campaigning, so I think my wife more than deserves a nice meal and perhaps a glass of something fizzy.
Brilliant. Oh, cheers.
Thank you very
Congratulations
much.
again, Edward.
Thank you.
Enjoy your rest. So it's 7 a.m. Filed the copy. Probably going to do all the reactions in a bit. But I'm going to go home and basically nap. But that's been a quite exciting night of politics. Didn't expect both seats to fall. I expected West Dorset was going to become Lib Dem, but I was not expecting Labour, and for Labour to win it the way they did, obviously with Reform taking the votes away from Conservatives in South Dorset. Both Drax and Loader didn't really want to talk. I think they gave like one interview each to other media organisations, but they just didn't want to chat at all. But got the interviews for the winners. They obviously were delighted. So yeah, what a thrilling night. I feel and look old. And I want to go home and sleep now. It's almost poetic, but it's now raining really hard. We started this election with Rishi Sunak announcing election in the nun rain, and now it's absolutely tipping it down. Politics, eh? Amazing. We've woken up now with a new government, new MPs, definitely in my area, and it's just astounding. I still can't believe it. Obviously, I talked about all of this in the Rishi Sunak sabotaging his own general election video, but I just can't believe this has all happened. The way that Rishi Sunak called the election, the way he made all those gaffes, made those mistakes, the fact that, you know, he really was damaging their own campaign to the point that they were some people were asking maybe to step aside, but he lessened his appearances towards the end of the election just to sort of calm things down. But honestly, with the amount of big Tory losses we've seen over the night, I'm not surprised, and it's going to be massive. I think the next few years are going to be quite interesting. I mean, Labour are basically in for the next 3 election cycles now, and the Tories, whoever the opposition will become properly, they will chip away at Labour's lead. But this is a momentous occasion. You know, reform took a lot of votes. They're the big story, I'd say, even though they've only got, you know, 3 MPs. But they've taken a lot of votes from the Conservatives. And Labour really ran a really cautious campaign to basically make sure that they were just the sensible party in opposition, so that could actually get into power and actually be government. And the Lib Dems have been fantastic as well. I think they've done really well, and a lot of people I know who've never voted Lib Dem in their life, they've voted Lib Dem this general election, and also they've won a lot of seats for the first time. This West Dorset seat, I still can't get over it. Even though we all knew it was happening, it was still a massive thing that's happened. But well, elections, eh? And we'll be interested to see how the next few months, years go on, really. But this is massive for the country, and to be following it and reporting on it's been historic. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. If you want to watch any more of my videos, here's something that might pop on the screen right now for you, might be interesting. Drop me some comments in the comments below, and drop me a like. And of course, subscribe to this YouTube channel. I really would appreciate it. I'm really trying to grow this into an independent thing I'd really love to do, and bring you more behind the scenes stuff like this.